bibaddewo myezi mukaaga emabega. Wrapping up, just okulaga abantu oba okwagringa n'abantu nti nothing happens by mistake, and to clarify on a few things, tulina topics nyingi, a lot of things. Bebe has been up and down in a lot of things mu myezi egyo mukaaga. Kuvira ddala ku album, tugenda mu tour, album twagiriko for 1.5 years nga tujyogerako Break the Chains, tugenda mu tour Kenya, Tanzania, tugende London, tumanye tuyingira akalulu kawedde. So twagala kwogera ku bintu bingi nnyo, you know, the good and the bad. So tell a friend to, you know, log on. Of course here tuli ku TikTok, of course all my fans abali ku YouTube, yafeya Gagamel TV, and of course abali ku Facebook. Instantly will now only catch me tovako tugenda kunyumya. And of course I think today nja kufunayo ka time era ne kundoza ku TikTok where I will I think maybe add a few people, 1 or 2 or 3, to, you know, to help us okwogerezeganya and to agree on a few things here and there. Era bw'oba olina ky'ogamba bimanye ebyange. You know, if you have something to say with a clear mind, I think today we might have an opportunity to, you know, chip in a few, ask a few questions here and there. Yep. But happy Sunday. Nkulikeyo mukalulu. I think we'll start in about, you know, we'll start in about 10 minutes.
Hello.
Good afternoon, happy Sunday.
Okay. Good afternoon, happy Sunday.
Is that all?
Yes.
What's your name?
Mommy.
You don't know that name. You don't know that.
Aisha. Aisha? Aisha? Yep. Good afternoon once again to all the fans. The fans bange mwenna n'abantu abaliko ku TikTok. Mugamba mutya. Excuse me. How you guys doing? How you doing? What's going on? Tell me something. So galiwa na sekaya miseso. Tell me something nice. A beautiful babies bonaje bali kati switch za chuse katuddayo mu business yafe. Handsome dudes, beautiful ladies. Basingo madam mwena bakadama mwena bali Saudi, Dubai, Syria, kozinewa Abu Dhabi, Turkey, abantu baffe mwena bali US, Sweden, Denmark, UK. What's going on mugamba chi? It's a Sunday. Kubira muntu wali board atekeko tugenda kunyumia. Yes, basically I take some time to come on TikTok or to do interviews. Of course, wabera we've to be engineer every now and then, but I believe engeri je tubeera abantu abamu nga babeera busy most of the time. I designate time ngamba nti njagenda ku live again on this day and clarify or talk about a few things. Of course, tuvuddemu period y'emyezi omukaaga gibadde intense to some of us, but also intense to Uganda, intense when it comes to topics ebintu bibadde bigenda maaso bingi nnyo naye kati ffe because omuntu nganze I have experience usually when it comes to nja kubanga ngenda sijja kuba ne specific topic naye nja kuba nga nsunako nenzira kweno. Why? Because byonna bibeera bikwatagana. Kati because of the experience ya campaigns zenakakola ndozi yabadde yakuna ba yakutaano actually kuba natandika okubeera part of the campaigns of President Museveni when I was, I think, obanga nakayingira 20s nali muto nga just ndiyo nonyezayo platform ey'okuyimba, and I think I was among the first artists, if not the first artist, eyagoberera trail ne introducing ekintu ky'okubeerako nga nyimba before the president came. Nijukira tewali nga byakusasula, there was no money to be paid, there was no tewaliwo nnyo kintu naye nga nze I surpassed my way nengwa ku stage nentandika awo mpola. Then the next campaign gye yaddamu ne batandika okubanga abakirecognize nga nti maybe president wabatanajja wasaana okubeerawo ku entertainment to keep the people going and stuff. So because of the experience eyokukola several campaigns, I now know what to do 2 years before any campaign. era bwe weetegereza abantu bangi bali babuuza ebibuuzo lwaki Bebe akola wati lwaki, why has he done this, why is he doing this 2 years before the campaign. The campaigns are the biggest activity in any country, depending on the years that are put by that country. For us it's 5 years, it's a 5-year term, but the biggest, why do I say it's the biggest activity? It's because it holds the biggest budget in 5 years. One activity that holds the biggest budget in any country is usually the election or the presidential campaign season. So it's usually a 3 months thing for Uganda, official 3 months, but of course preps and 3 months before. So those 6 months hold the highest amount of money transfers or budgets. Preps is a budget, see money crossing hands. Kati ng'omugezi, or just like any clever person, you must always anticipate that period. Because us as Ugandans, we need to start learning how to make money, how to think money. You need to know how these things work. These things are not by luck. They don't just fall in place just like that. How dare a campaign 3 months start? How does it arrive without you having anticipated where and how to benefit? How is it possible that people don't know the one activity that really involves a lot of expenditures, be it on the incumbent side, be it on the opposition side. Everyone uses money. Fuel, hotels, cars, printeries, printing companies, radios, TVs, now social media. Everyone at that time is fully engaged in exchange of finances for services. So the layman as a Ugandan, where do you tap in there? You just want to stay as I anticipated using the previous 4 times. I anticipated and decided to have always a plan 2 years prior to the campaigns. So I start on that plan. One, as a musician, I make sure that I'm ready among the top most important artists. As a musician, I make sure that I'm among the top 3 most important, but also I make sure that I am the most important when it comes to the 3 months. How does that happen? The previous 1 year and 7 months determines whether the politics requires you or it takes you as the most important artist in that 3 months. So meaning you have to put it here, no color calculations, no teleka hit songs zo, no wandika, no manya nti wanaba wabulayo emyezi 3 akalulu katandike, nina okuba nga ntadde hit eyakabi. That is for artists who do politics, who don't fear these issues, I will lose fans, this and that. No, for artists who are serious money makers, serious business people. Because for us, for every Ugandan must learn to make money in any angle. If you're a doctor, it doesn't mean that you only get paid in hospital or when someone is sick. No, you should get also paid in other sectors. You can be paid from a market because you have a small shop somewhere. You have someone who works there. You can be paid. You can do a song. It goes on YouTube. So you have to anticipate. So even musicians or entertainers must be sharp. I'm going to give you very, very clear examples of how many artists benefited from this previous economy, the 3 months economy. People built houses. People completed houses. I saw one of my friends, my new close friends, is Gravity Omutuju. Yeah? I saw he's about to complete his house, and I saw people waving at him so much. His house is very expensive. He wouldn't have just used music to complete it. You know, you can build a house, but finishing it is another story altogether. But now, the guy could make some good money that you cannot easily make in normal music. You can't make 1 billion shillings in normal music just like that. You need so many years to put up those gigs of 3, 4 million, 5 million. First of all, our artists are still earning 2 million, 1.5, 3. When will you ever make 1 billion shillings? I mean, the real celebrity houses that we're talking about cost more than just 500-800 million. You need over 1 billion shillings. When are you ever going to do that? And 1 billion shillings, imagine, is just $250,000. $250,000. That's a very cheap house for a celebrity. You shouldn't even call yourself a celebrity if you live in a house of less than $1 million. Our people here in Uganda, they keep praising and raising artists from West Africa, artists from the US, artists from Europe. They have a reason why they do that. They do that because the actual truth is a real artist has a lifestyle that is only supported by finances, money. You live in a big house, you drive big cars, you know, you live large, you're famous, you're big, you're popular beyond your borders. So when I'm talking about an artist needing to involve themselves in different businesses, be it needing to involve yourselves in different, even in politics, let this be a lesson, the last lesson. Those who did not do, you missed. You missed an opportunity of making money. We have a very good president who gives an opportunity to everyone who thinks quickly to make money. You're only a fool in Uganda if you broke. No msiro Uganda alia because opportunities ezokola sent nyingi. So imagine Ugandans are very good people. 6 months later, no one will remember that we even did politics. We even did campaigns. No one will remember. You imagine after the campaigns, you just bring out a very good song. You think people are going to be there to remember that you did any rally from Museveni or for Chagulanyi? They won't remember. Then they will just go on dancing to the new song. Ngabakuwana, that's it. So if you had good music and you did not do the rallies, let me give you news. The least artists to be paid, yet first and foremost, I want to thank all the artists who were part of the campaigns. Thank you very, very, very much for the work you did, for entertaining Ugandans, for working and supporting the president. But the least artist officially who has a signature, because for me, the artists I stood in for, or that I took for the campaigns, were specific artists. One, artists who are designated politically. Okay, these are the guys who have been supportive of the NRM party, guys who have sacrificed their careers during those times. You know, there was a time when if you came out publicly and said you support a specific party, you lost a specific, audience. Of course, I am the best example. If you came up and said you support the NRM, you lost funds, you lost business. I want to give you a demography, a quick one, about how Uganda is set up. Uganda is set up in such a way that the capital city, Buganda, are where the people concentrate most business-wise. And this is where the opposition of Uganda is centered. Basically 70% of Uganda's opposition is in the center, which is around where the NRM and the options given to you. The NRM is heavenly, based on the opposition, based on the opposition. opposition. On the rallies. On each rally, I think an artist, depending on the rally, I think an artist, depending on the size. Threshold was about 5, okay? Of course, excluding myself. Excluding myself.
Fine tulema kufokasinga ku kintu kimu kubanga bw'ofuna akukaabirako
Tell them that they are going to sing within their region. Tell them that they are going to sing within their region, which is Kampala, Buganda. Okay? Okay? Okay?
bazimba amayumba genda kagasuubuza bino gana amaduukaduuka agaggulawo nago galowooza mu bizinensi nga tezibakwatako genda ku stage ya booda teekawo ebipapula bibawe buli omu kimuwe akikasuka omanyirawo nti oyo omu kubabuuza tebitukwatako ng'ate naye embeera emunyigiriza eyo embeera bw'enaatuuka mu nsi yaffe nga buli omu alaba ekyetaagisa okukolebwa buli omu ajja kikwata agambe kituufu kiri nti ekimala Museveni akole ki Museveni agende naye tugenda kubeera ku kimu bazungu nga betusibyeko essira nga ffe twetuddeko
Maggie okimanyi mutaalina endowooza eyo
kanjira nemyotingamuko kati
yafuuse munyambi zaayi sitoko gye tugenda otandika kati
ayina enjogera nga Magi yafuuse munyampi ffe twakoowa twanyampa dda
bawe egyo nagiddeko n'omwana
will meet us to thank us for the good work and to also, prepare our mind and tell us prepare our mind and tell us how prepare our mind and tell us how paid. There are government programs. And make sure
Oliyimirira osimanya
Yes.
oliyimirira bw'omu
Buli omu
suubira okuyimirira obw'omu
nayegedde n'omwana n'asiibya ekyo kyonna ng'omutima gunnuma era namugabye nomugamba inshallah Katonda wanyamba neefunayo ku ssente enaku
fonna ng'oba muzimu kyoguli mu kuloopa akawunti
yakuteerako bannange nze oli omulimu gw'entandise musagala babeeramu nnyo
nkubuulire ebyo
osandise mulimu ki gwakusala bantu
gwe tojja
naye naawe nno bannange
tojja kweteekera buli omu ayogera bibi
naye naawe naye bannaye king bannaye king naawe eke naawe okusobera bannange pulezidenti yagamba gwe ne wooba nammundu ng'olaba yegenda okugjako Museveni gikwate oba oyina mmundu gikwate yagamba mbu nno woba oyina ki oba oyina kikasa kiba nga kitutwala mu ntebe kikwate ffe kyetwagala genda mu ntebe bannange ogamba ki wa mama media
bannange gyebaleko nnyawe mukyala zaayi
kale mukwano naawe gyebaleko mukwano
kale ekintu gundi kyabadde agamba magi w'erinnya nze ndowooza kintu ekyo kyali kikoze kubanga nange nali mbaddeko kaawo nenkola ki ne tukiteesaako ku live emu yaba plan B tulina okweteekamu ffe ffennyini bannayuganda amaanyi nga tetunaakubeera nga tukola ki nga tunoonya abalala batuyambe kyova olaba pulezidenti waffe babadde bamubuuza nnyo ekyo ekibuuzo nti oyagala tukuyambe ki naye pulezidenti waffe n'addamu n'agamba njagala muteeke sanction ku bantu bano lwaki pulezidenti waffe tagamba mujjeko Museveni okitegeera naye ekigambo kyolooza tasobola kyogera asobola naye pulezidenti ayagala struggle yaffe ffe bannayuganda ffe ffennyini tweguusirize ekintu kyaffe tuleme kubeera nga twawola abantu nga bagenda kuba nga batubanja kyova olaba pulezidenti ayagala pulezidenti waffe Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert ayagala nnyo ffe bannayuganda twerwaneko mu ngeri yonna okulaba nga tuggusa ensonga eno ya struggle so bannayuganda tufubeko nnyo okutema empenda nga tubanja akalulu kaffe buli omu aweeyo ekirowoozo
yeah, sorry, I had to change my I've changed to use my data. Yeah. So, ndi bulungi? Okay. So, about the artists, most people, I didn't blame the people when the conversation started because, of course, many people were ignorant about why and exactly what I was doing. I was indirectly fighting to see that the budget was good for people. The best example is when we started in Kololo, I was given the job to do the campaign, the Kololo. I was given a list of artists. And when I was given the list of artists, I noticed that we didn't have regional artists on. So I said, no. The president will not launch the campaign, his campaign, with only Kampala artists. So I managed to convince the secretariat, and they were very happy to include. We called it an inclusion. Keep trying. No, keep trying. So I included them, and for the first time ever, I don't know whether it has happened, but at least all those artists were paid not less than 3 million shillings, not less, apart from a traditional group, actually even traditional groups, because remember there are many. And the maximum payment for an artist from Gulu was 7 million shillings, which I don't think any other person has paid an artist from a regional artist, apart from the ones who have broken big like Reggie and stuff. But I'm talking about our usual regional artists who don't have big songs. I paid them 7 million, 5 million for one gig in Kololo. I have all that evidence. Now, by doing that, I was giving them a cue. As cueing them to tell them that, hey, guys, for the many rallies, I think this is what should be anticipated. So, as usual, Nenkwe, Nobutamanya, you know, as artists, we have so many artists who are very ignorant. They think they know, they don't know, they don't want to learn, they don't listen, they just went ahead behind and started an issue called Hey Bebe Cool. It came from performances, because remember, we were so many artists on that day in Kololo. But the program in Kololo, when it comes to performance, you must always know that if it involves the president, it changes every second. Any activity that involves the president, you must be sure when you accept to perform, get ready for changes, because of excellency. So they told us, prepare entertainment. Me, what I want to see is everyone included, so it's an inclusion concert, but then still the principle is the first priority. So when the president was about to come, the different artists, and the funny thing is when they come to Kololo, you tell them, go on stage now. They tell, it's still early. Me, I still want to waiting for people here. Now, me, I will perform for the president when he has come. Most of them are fighting to perform when the president has come. But you see, there's very little time when the president has come. And most times, because he's busy, when he arrives, he will come and make changes in the program. Say, I need to leave, so make sure this and this gets done quickly. So some of our colleagues ended up not performing when the president is around. And then they got annoyed and they went to the Secretary General, the Bebe Cool. Thank you. Bebe Cool is tribalistic. He did this. This came from the artist from the north. He has not. He made sure that we don't perform in front of the. But remember, the first time, it's me who even suggested the names of the regional artists, and it's me who even suggested the pricing. The pricing. Okay, I made sure that it's even gender balanced. There were female artists, there were male artists. I made sure traditional groups came from all the way, Karamoja, Arua, Koboko, where. So I was surprised the following week, because it was a week after, that's when the campaign was starting. I was surprised to be called by the Secretary General that artists are complaining that they were sidelined. I was like, I can't put an artist when the president needs to talk. I can't. you get a call from the person who's running the program of the day saying, stop the song. You've seen people, artists performing, and then a politician is talking in the microphone, and then the artist is very annoyed and angry. You get it? I actually, on that gig, I stepped on stage during Alien Skin's performance and stopped him from performing, and I told him they're going to sing the national anthem, the president is leaving. So, in a nutshell, that situation created a mistrust between the artists, some artists, not all, some artists from the northern part of Uganda, who went ahead to the Secretary General and complained, and then the Secretary General went ahead and sided with them and created the issue of Eddie Kenzo's regional proposal that let those artists perform in their regions. I only felt sorry because I definitely knew what was going to happen. And indeed it happened. I felt bad. So for me, what I did is I waited. I addressed this. I made a different plan. Of course, I had plans. When it comes to these things, guys, you have to learn. Experience is the best teacher. I did the campaigns of Tubonge now for 2.5 weeks, and we were stopped during the COVID time. But the plan that I used this time of media and music was exactly what I had applied that time. But that time, when I was stopped, the people who created me Bukokola and created the idea of Bukokola, they had the power. The power was the money. They are the ones who are funding me. So the president lost on a program that would have done, I'm very sure 100 or 200%, that if I had proceeded. You all remember that campaign when I was doing the t-shirt. Let me clearly explain to you what was going on. You saw the t-shirt because the t-shirt giving is what I wanted to show you. Mwalaba t-shirt kwanza nali njagala kubalaga kugaba t-shirt. Na ye kyaliwo kyali kirala nnyo ngenda kibagamba kati. Nali nkimanyi nti no Bobi ne Lukwago ne banne bali bakozesa ba ghetto kids okola effujjo mu Kampala mu Uganda. Mukalulu, no ku intimidating aba fans. Mwino okutandika, you have to start learning. Mwino okutandika okuyiga. Wait. Aisha. Go, guys. This is madness. Sorry, I had to respond to a sound that I had. My dog was out and Kleberson was screaming like a woman. Imagine. I thought someone had been shot in my compound. Guys, this is shocking. A man was crying like a woman after seeing a big dog. Anyway, so let me give you a clear picture of that Tubonge Nawe campaign. What exactly Bebe Cool was intending at that time. I came up with, you know our history with Bobi Wine as an artist, and you know our history with Chameleon. But you all know that I always was the guy with the plans, musically, amongst the three. And then, of course, even during that time when Chameleon was alone as Leon Island, and Bebe Cool was with Bobi Wine, the Black Boys in the Firebase crew. So all those plans came from this head here. Even when I went to Nairobi, the plans of the East African Bashment crew came from me. So I definitely knew Kyagulanyi, and no one knows Kyagulanyi like I do when it comes to these games of public, because definitely he's learning how to deal with fans and people is something that came from our times. The times, of course, Kyagulanyi, I started singing before him. I was singing with Eddie Awe. He was a very young man, but he liked singing and he joined, and Eddie asked me, we worked together. Eddie Awe is a very good guy, so there was no way I wasn't going to work with the brother. I grew up, I was more closer to the likes of Eddie Awe and Nyanzi, okay? So, by going to Nairobi. I went to Nairobi after that cassation. Okay? So you can imagine the mastermind of so many things. So definitely I know if I look at Jose Chameleone in a place, I can tell what he's going to do in a second before he does it. If I look at Bobi saying something, I can know what he's going to say next. I can tell how he's going to turn. I know my brothers. I know them left, right, and center. So it was easy for me to come up with a plan. So when I came up with this plan, I knew that I had to use two fronts. One front, I have to give the enemies or the people who are opposing me, I have to give them a different face. The face that gives them satisfaction. So I had to show them that I'm a fool, because they'd be very happy when they see Bebe Cool is a fool. He's giving t-shirts, he's useless. That is the first face. But the face behind that campaign of giving t-shirts, the truth was I had collected from each ghetto, 40 ghetto kids. From each ghetto, you say Kalerwe, 40. Bwaise, 40. B14, 40. Tinda ghetto, 40. I left Kampala with around 28 coasters. And I had a budget that was adding on 40 ghetto people from each region that had very bad ghetto kids. That's like the plan was to take more from Jinja, the plan was to take more from Iganga, the plan was to take more from Mbale. Now I'm going to be open to you so that you know exactly who Bebe Cool. And this was a single planned idea from Bebe Cool. What was my plan with these ghetto people? Because I had known that in the city center, all the threats, all the trouble was being done by the opposition taking advantage of these ghetto guys. They were giving them 5K, 3K to do the havoc. They were giving them little money to scare people. You remember at that time, just barely putting on a yellow t-shirt was a problem. They were beating people, they were scaring people. So one of the best ways to win an election is intimidation. So Bobi Wine and his clique at that time came up with the idea of intimidating President Museveni's people, but no one had known that that was the formula. But remember, always the president has always said this, that his voters are always intimidated. And he has always said the second statement that they cheat his votes. But because for us as Ugandans or as human beings, you sit back and say, hey, how can they intimidate a president's voter? Or how can they cheat a president of his votes? You can't. Atulimba yabba. So that's why most people were saying that NRM over Museveni abbo bululu. Because no one can really believe, unless if they see with their own eyes, that President Tebasobola mubbo bululu. Nti abayaya abo bali bagezi, and all these things njaba wa manya g'abantu abaleetera ekintu ekyo. Those who remember how Peter Sematimba lost the votes, the election of Kampala mayorship, you all know what happened. You all know what happened. The opposition yakwata a box z'obululu ne batisettinga bannamawulire ne bakanika obululu waggulu ku compound yani ya Sematimba. Kati Sematimba ye yali azze mu luzungu, ayambadde gloves ibiki, yamanyi biri legit. The people who work with on the side of government usually are so legit. But the people in the opposition are so shrewd. But it's so shrewd. Kubanga bachimanyi nti tosobola convincing abantu. You can't convince people that it is the opposition that did. Always it is going to be the incumbent, the government that is pressing the people. So they take advantage of that and instead they press the people. Best example, the recent video of a noob guy that you saw, who was intimidating a woman in a room for sex. Okay? So we will get to that. So that's how I came up with a plan and said, oh, I need to take away these guys so that when Lukwago leaves his home, he comes in the city, he looks for these guys to give them the money to do the trouble. He won't find them. That was the first game. So I called I had about 48 presidents of different ghettos We met in Chiwatule. I used Cobra to reach them. We met in Chiwatule, we discussed. I was paying each of the ghetto presidents 200,000 per day, 200,000 per day. But each of the ghetto kid was getting 50K per day for those first 3 weeks we worked. Each of them was being paid emitwale etano. Buli mwana wa ghetto gwe natwala mu bus yali afuna emitwale etano. Nga president waabwe eyabawandika n'abaleeta mu costas ezebbiri yali afuna emitwale 2 buli lunaku. Omukyala eyali ansasula sente ezo ku secretariat bali bamuyita Mama Namayanja, who of course is one of the reasons why Buganda today did so well. I took this plan to Honorable Namayanja and gave it to him. When I gave it to him, he said this time she was the national treasurer. I think she was the national treasurer or something like that. So first she had not accepted that idea because she didn't think I could execute it. Then on the second last day before the campaigns began, she called me and said, come. We met at plot 2, there is a restaurant there, and is it plot 4, something like that, in Nakasero. She asked me, Bebe Cool, Nambuza, can you execute that idea? I told her, yes, I will, I can, because it's me who came up with the idea. I need to remove the ghetto guys. Once I remove them, there won't be intimidation. Secondly, it was a security issue. Because you remember that time, these ghetto kids were not scared of police. Bakwatanga amayinja ne balumba police straight. Ng'omusirikale ayina emundu, ng'omwana wa ghetto akutte ejjinja. And then at that time, Chagulanyi's group, that's why they were using camera. Because they wanted a photo of a gun on the other side and a stone on this side. That was a very damning photo internationally. So that was also another way to encourage the Western world to get involved in a country's politics. When you see a man with a gun shooting a guy with a stone. So for me, immediately I knew the game plan. And remember, in Chagulanyi's team, I can't fail to have people there. Guys, twakula fena obuguwa tebugwayo. Buli muntu akaluka paka n'okaluka n'omanya nti I get my information here and I will use it like this. And I also know, that's why you see most of the times tugoba abantu mu clicks zaffe. Gagamero nokera ku machango bagobye omuntu. Onsobola okuteeka reason nti nagobye omuntu na disrespectinga. Naye nga nze nkimanyi yabadde apassinga information ewa Joseph ewa Chameleon, yabadde apassinga information ewa Bobi. So ne wa Bobi nga waliyo omuntu abantu baffe naffe betukozesa. So I came up with that plan. Honorable Namayanja decided to support it. It was a very expensive idea, but it was the perfect idea. So I had 2 types of people. I had the ghetto team, and then I called my friend, he's called Cloud. I told him, Cloud, I need all the media personalities that are strong, the best, with the best platforms. So when we started to go at that time in Tubonge now, I had 6 coasters. Each coaster had 40 media personalities. 40 media personalities. 40 times 6. I had them. I was paying each of them, each media personality was being paid 150,000 per day. Per day. 150,000 per day, 50,000 kuliko okusula, because I gave them a plan. I told them, look, you're going to use 20,000 to sleep. So bwe mbeera babiri mufune room emu eya 40 oba room emu eya 50, 25, you save. So when you spend 20 on accommodation on 25, the other 25 is breakfast ya 5,000, lunch ya 10K, dinner ya 10K. So you spend 50K in a day and you save 100,000. For 3 months when you're saving 100,000, but I told them that the most important thing where I wanted the media personalities to go on that campaign of Tubonge during the COVID was Ugandans had been misled when it comes to information about Uganda. But now Uganda bali misled nnyo nga tebamanyi Uganda. Kiki ekyaleetera okubeera nga bali tebamanyi Uganda? kyali kimu nga bannamawulire tebamanyi tebatambulangako mu Uganda tebavisitanga omunnamawulire amanyi Kampala nawaabwe gye bamuzaala ne bwe mwoge president akanya kwogera ku nguudo president akanya kwogera ku ddaamu president akanya kwogera ku development model farms biki tebabimanyi because tebatambulangako kati ekyo nakyo ne ŋŋamba ngenda kigatta so nagatta ebintu bibiri ne ŋŋamba njagala ntambuze bannamawulire ku campaign trail balabe kitubeera twogerako why we support Museveni kubanga batuufu okuwakana omanyi waliwo wowakana waliwo support wogana ekintu kubanga nawe tokirabangako so ne ŋŋamba abaana bagayi just tebalabangako naye opportunity eno bwejja emyezi 3 okutambula Uganda yonna omuntu akyuka obwongo. These are some of the words I gave Honorable Namayanja. Nemugamba Honorable Namayanja, NRM ina weakness erimuku information flow. The party has done a very good job. Yes, the party has erina ebikyamo ebimwe nga corruption eziriyo abantu abamu abatakoze bebalina okukola naye ate NRM party ekoze ebintu bingi nnyo ebirungi naye ate tebyogerwako lwaki lwakubanga twateekawo bridge nti tewaliwo basobola byogerako kuba tebabimanyi omuntu n'abeera Kampala nga tamanyi nti Gulu is one of the cleanest cities in Uganda. Omuntu n'abeera Kampala n'atamanya nti Uganda erina ensozi n'ebikko ebirungi ennyo. Omuntu n'abeera Kampala n'atamanya nti factories zizimbibwa all over the country. Bakanyanga kuwulira people are just hearing President Museveni keeps getting his votes in the villages. You call them the villages, but the man has developed those areas. There's water, there's electricity, there are roads, there are hospitals, there are schools at a certain level. They are not the best hospitals in the world, but they are hospitals that have saved people. They are not the best schools in the villages, but they are schools that have educated Ugandans like me. My friends, I went to school, my nursery school, I was in a school called Makonzi Boarding Primary School, which is in Kasanda, past Mubende. That's where I began my nursery in top class. So during that time, imagine when I saw my nursery, Makonzi, Kasanda. But I am the guy who's speaking to you all this information. In Gulu, the universities that are there, my lawyer wange ono friend wange ono mutoko ebo council ebo amateka ya gamalira lira amateka gola bago, and you're yet to see these young people, you're yet to see them. Mbale universities, those are places where people are concentrating on education. So katinga abantu babera we Museveni obululu abujja country yetaina. Yeah, he knew. The president is very clever. He knew that Favali wano mu center tubera nnyo muwalala, but the real development, most people wano mu center balowooza nti Uganda stops in Kampala here in Buganda. No. Uganda is a spread country within the borderline. So that's how I came up with the plan of getting all the ghetto guys to go with them and all the media personalities to go with them. The ghetto guys, I was to remove them from the activity so that these guys come, they don't find them, so they don't have anyone to use. Remember them, they fear police. Okay, so if you take away these guys, then they don't have anyone to hire to face police. So I was solving a security issue. At the same time, I was solving an intimidation issue. But I was not going to explain to a layman. I can't give my plan. I keep my plan. All I say is, but these people like it when Bebe looks a fool. So I gave you the face of a fool to kneel down and give t-shirts. The t-shirts were very simple. NRM has t-shirts. President can print t-shirts. It was always good because the intimidation was telling people not to wear anything yellow. You remember cars were being beaten. So for me, I was giving out the t-shirts to re-encourage people to put on the yellow. But the actual reason was now these other two that I've explained to you. That was smart. But I didn't need to explain to a Ugandan that, oh, I'm moving with the ghetto guys, I'm kneeling down. You remember I knelt down. Let me tell you, in the first 14 days, Kyagulanyi was conversing about Bebe Cool on his rallies. I have that video in Fort Portal where he had done his rally, telling his people that when this Rasta comes here kneeling down, giving t-shirts, comes, chase him away. The topic was very simple. I needed his diversion. He's not at the same level with the president. No. He's at the same level with the Bebe Cools, the chameleons. He's a musician. He will never stop being a musician. That's why now all the people in the opposition are suffering. They are suffering because they refuse to accept the truth that they are dealing with an artist. They are not dealing with a politician. They are not dealing with a presidential material. No, they were dealing with an artist who is directly competing with his fellow artists. That's why some of the fans, his musical fans, come up and say, Bebe Cool Kyagulanyi yamuleka da. So it is a musical thing, yamuleka. These are the same people who cannot ask this guy to reason politically or economically. But to them it is about Kyagulanyi yaleka, Bobi Wine yaleka Bebe Cool, Bobi Wine yaleka chameleon. So, in a nutshell, ne Bobi nga jali ayagala kumakinga sure nti akakasa nti abo nabaleka nenga ate kabaka yamukola mulina bwenti because nze nali sina budde bwa kintu neki nali nina obudde bwa plani yange nga bwenjikola mujjeko abamawulire mujjeko abageto ate nga mumanyi mukodo. So at the end of the day alitasobola kusobola plani yange. But era God works in mysterious ways. Mu NRM twalinamu abantu abali bakola naye. We had so many people who are working with Kyagulanyi. How are they working with Kyagulanyi? They were working with Kyagulanyi because the more Kyagulanyi put on pressure on the president, the more the president released the budget. We even had people in the police force doing very bad things intentionally. We had members of the parliament from the opposition, or we had MP candidates paying police people to arrest them, to mishandle them as women, to tear. Don't you remember that time when they were tearing women's bras? What? You look at a policeman, you say, why is this policeman really mishandling a woman? Kumbe these MPs were paying a backdoor. These guys were getting 2-5 million. Remember, their salary is less. So when you're given 5-10 million to kuzoganya, it appears legit that the police is mishandling Ugandans. All these things were planned. As NRM people, I tell you, I knew several people who were working with this guy, but they were way too stronger that if I attacked them directly, I would be down by today. So I said, no, I will devise my best way to work with the president. And I know the president at that time could not understand me very well, even himself, because I did not explain to him this thing, because I explained it to only Honorable Namayanja. That's why at the end of that campaign, there was a meeting at State House with all musicians and the SEC members. And in that meeting, I raised my hand. Full Figure was there. All the artists were there. Kusasira who. I raised my hand to talk, but the president wasn't picking me. Remember, that was at the end of the campaign after the president had been announced and Asinze. The president kept on choosing anyone else, Full Figure would, but wasn't picking me. Until when the president said, Bebe Cool take our so mkono. What was disturbing me? Kumbe the president had been told that my idea was just to give out t-shirts and kneeling. It wasn't a mobilization tool. So I wanted to ashame 3 people who had told the president that my idea wasn't a mobilization tool. That is the day I was supposed to explain to the president for the first time what the giving out t-shirts and kneeling meant. Kati president we ansirisa nempulira mu meeting nga balimba president. So many things happened there. I got angry, and ladies and gentlemen, for the first time I'm going to tell you, I got up out of the president's meeting and I left State House. I will never forget. I knew that wange zompisa mbi naye obusungu bwali bunzitanga sobola kugenda maaso nga ntudde n'abantu nga balimba president nga ndaba bwenti nesituka nenzijjawo entebe nenfuluma nengenda. And remember, oyita mu mulyango gumu, toyinza kuyita eno president gyatudde era yandaba bwati nga nsituse kubanga yasooka kuŋŋamba weteka wansi omukono gwogenda kumanya ogenda kwogera ebintu bingi. Nenfuluma nali ntuuka ku Saya Queen, as I was arriving Saya Queen, ne bankubira essimu ne bambuuza oluwa ne mbagamba ndi Kampala. Bagamba badde bakweta ne mugamba it's okay. Era president yaddamu nankubira essimu after 1 month. But okunkubira essimu after that 1 month, I had spoken to General MK and I explained myself very well to General MK. The use of my mobilization tool, that is what they call mobilization. Mobilization, when you see us as musicians singing is not mobilization. I will come to that point. Singing is entertaining. It has a small element of mobilization because your fans will then trust the platform and the reasoning that you're there. Yes, but there is actual mobilization to actualize a vote. So, that was the plan that was 2026, I think. The one of, 2021. Yes, that was 2021. Okay? So, how did it fall down? They went and convinced the president because we were stopped 3.5 weeks in. So, a team of people at the secretariat went and convinced the president that, remember at that time, there were 2 things that were happening. Also, let me tell you this. Kyagulanyi was doing, there were COVID guidelines at that time. The guidelines did not allow masses. So the Electoral Commission came up with saying that you can only gather 200 people. So Kyagulanyi, I knew that he wasn't going to use 200 people. He knew that the president is scared of COVID because the president was always covered and wasn't getting close to people. He was at a distance. So I knew that this picture is going to be, if Kyagulanyi goes on the roads with these masses of people, and then the president stays in a tent with 200 people, the picture is automatically going to be misinterpreted as Museveni not having supporters. It was a very dangerous moment. Because imagine 3 months when Museveni is in tents of 200 people and Kyagulanyi every day has masses of people walking on the road. That would have convinced the international community, that would have psychologically twisted the mindset of every Ugandan that actually it is true Ugandans no longer support President Museveni. I saw it and I said I'm not allowing this. That's why the first group of people that I had were the ghetto kids, those ghetto gangsters. And then plus adding on the media, because I also said I have to take away the media so that it's not covered fully. Now I'm saying things because there's no need to they are no longer secrets. It's just to show you how we think out these things. Because most of you don't have an idea. You don't know that we sit down and plan. And we plan. Okay, you think we just move. So, I said, okay, now, buli wentuuka ku kyalo ng'oledde nina abaana ba ghetto bus nga 30. Okay? Kigenda kuwa abantu confidence nga tebambadde yellow. Ne tuyingira mu maduuka nga tugaba t-shirt za yellow. Ne tuyingira in their homes nga tugaba t-shirt za yellow. They will feel safe, so they will come up. Remember, there was a game of intimidation. So that thing was taking away intimidation from cities. And people were now openly coming back to put on the yellow. So, my plan worked very well. Because every time you saw Kyagulanyi with his big trail of people, you saw Bebe cool. with so many people on the streets. But President Museveni was in the serious meetings of the 200s. You get the game? So that's how it happens. Now, how did it go down? It went down when 3 people went and convinced the president in a meeting in Soroti that Bebe Kuru atulated the electoral commission egamba tusiga COVID. And the president, you know, President Museveni, when it comes to COVID, even up to now, to have a meeting with President Museveni, we are still going for COVID checkups. Up to today, President Museveni did not even think twice. He called off the movement. I made calls that day. I nearly ran mad. I said, how can I convince this? I talked to Namayanja. Namayanja fought in the meeting. Honorable Namayanja fought in that meeting to tell people that there's a better good in this idea than just what you're seeing here. Naye kumbe, what my format was doing, it was going to stop the big budgets that the president was going to release. Because by countering Kyagulanyi, then there is no pressure from the president or for the president. And without pressure on President Museveni, he never releases money. So nali musente z'abantu nga mwenzanyira. Naye ate at the end of the day, nga nebuuza nga ngamba neba n'abantu. Esente n'eggwanga lyaffe okwonooneka, because remember at the end of the day, we had a problem of mindset. Nga abantu bali mu kugenda convinced ddala nti no President Museveni talina buwagizi, nti Uganda mbi, nti Uganda bleedinga. Ekintu tekitandika okuyingira. Era nze abawagizi ba NUP abasinga sibanenya, because babasigamu ekintu ekyo nti Uganda bleedinga. Naye mwe bwe mutunula mu COVID bantu bameka abaafa enjala. Ensi z'Abazungu zonna ze mulaba abantu baafanga enjala, ng'oli talina wajja kawunga naye nga ffe wano ofuluma ku muti n'ojjayo omuyembe. Naye bakonvinsinga president nga nkirabira ddala. Bwe nva mu pule ne nzaayo abageto ne baddayo ku kkubo, abaana ati bo tebasobola kubeerera waawo. Bo balina okugenda okuzoganya okukola. Abasanga nze wano mbadde mbawa $5,000, naye kati we baddayo ku kkubo. It took only 2 days. Mwalaba amasasi mu Kampala, mwalaba entalo ku kkubo, iganga yonna, amayinja, front. That is the day, that is the week gye mwalabanga abasirikale ne bakuba abantu amasasi emange wa Kiseka yonna, ng'olwo abaana bakomyewo babalemese. Abaana bannegeya banange, abaana ba ghetto baakaaba amaziga. Do you know, abaana banyumizanga ebintu buli night nga tumiitinga, nga tumaze okulya biki, abaana banyumiza bagamba manyi bwe tubba akasimu ukatwale w'omukulu akasimu ka $3-4 naye ng'omukulu akuwayo $2,000, naye sebo kati omunene otufunidde $5,000 buli lunaku. Okitegeera bananga abaana baakaaba. I've never seen what I saw. Nenfuba nenjogera Namayanja mukazi watunangamba Bebe sina kyakola. It has failed. Okitegeera nentika abaana nentika zibasi zonna abaana ne bakomawo e Kampala. Abaana olwakomawo e Kampala bwe bati ne baddayo ku kkubo, ne busimu ne buvuga okuva ewa abantu nga bameeya ba Kyagulanyi, abakozi baabwe ne bakomawo ku kkubo. 3 days later, masasi, mayinja, buli kimu. That is why twatuuka n'okulonda n'ebya internet we byatandikirawo okuvaako. So nga ate internet eno singa nali proceedings ne trail yange y'abannamawulire, it means by the end of the media, by the end of the rallies on that campaign, media yonna yali badde side ya NRM, wali badde teweetaaga kujjako internet. Wali badde teweetaaga kubanga basojja bonna nali mbalina. Okuvira ddala ku websites, okudda ku Facebook, okudda buli aba Twitter bonna nali mbalina. But of course, chenali nsinga okunyumirwa is I always wanted to stay in the dress code of a musician who wants to just sing and jump on stage, because that's what my enemies wanted or my competitors wanted. They wanted to always convince themselves that I think small. So what I did, I left them to think that I think small. Era abantu abo bakuba program eyo bankola bubi. Sometimes I look at that lady, emphasizing ku kintu ekyo, and I'm very proud that finally I got an opportunity this time to execute the same program but a bit different. Era kino kye mwalabye ekyabayimbi ne bannamawulire just kwabadde kubulako ba ghetto. Now, towards the beginning of this campaign, I went to Mr. Damulira's, Afande Damulira's office. Nemugamba Afande Damulira, program yange ogijjukira yalina abaana ba ghetto. Tulina bajja mu city. Mwami Damulira ku luno n'angamba nti Bebe, this time you don't need to take them because we have built good structures in them, okay, and they are ready to work within their areas. Nemugamba, oh yeah, that is right. Why? Because before tewaliwo muntu yabazimba mu structures, bali bakozesebwa bukozesebwa. Era that's why today you see nti this time move yange yali yabannamawulire n'abayimbi bokka.
So now you can connect the two.
So bufight buno bwaliwo wano mu beginning, simanyi abayimbi bajja, those were very petty issues. You are all just diverting, talking about what you did not have as an idea. So we ended up nga tuvuddemu eyo 2021 akalulu, and ebyo byonna ebyabaawo mwalaba ebya ending abiki. So this time I devised the best way, because the best way this time was nalina okufinding engeri gye nsobola okufuna finances zange eziri independent from the secretariat. But I took the proposal to Honorable to the Secretary General. Yenyini najitwala wa Secretary General. But I think it didn't pass because the Secretary General said the budget was so high. I pleaded with the Secretariat Nembagamba to gende to we meet the president. I defend my budget. Of course they had added in theirs, but my budget surely was very high. But to achieve 71% success, you need a budget. And you need to make sure that that budget is used where it is supposed to be used. Waliwo okugamba ogamba nti budget yino tugikuwadde naye okozese sente kyesirina okukola. That's why we got the 71%. Because all of you abandaba, everyone andaba one, amanyi my contribution to this campaign this time. Everyone knows what I did. Tetwebaka kutulo. Kakati, how did it go down? This time, namanya nti we na relyinga ku already proposal yange bagiganye. Naye before taking the proposal, I came up with two plans. Nengamba nina okunoonya sente, nina okunoonya omuntu gwe nsobola okukola naye for at least 2 weeks paka president wanalaba effect ya idea yange nampita. Kwanga jukira baku blocking. Nange mwenyini bam blocking to see him. That's why twatuka ku beginning ya campaign nga sinamulaba. Ngabera nga njakula. Nenga mugamba nini ekyocha. Nenga njakula bafuse njakula. Nenga asajja omukulu bamugambye ekiwe ky'omukulu aganye okundaba. Kati awo. That's when a friend of mine bwe twatula ne twogera nangamba nina program bagita Unstoppable. Ne mugamba eri etya. Wait nti okay. Let's arm it. Netuji arminga. Nenjiteeka wano wabbali. Na preparing ebintu byonna nkofiira bi helmets biki nenjitereka wabbali nensirika nenzinga emikono. Nendeka ekintu ekyaliwo in the north ekyabayimbi mwe muli ku bayimbi muli kuki nga naye during that period of time nali nina omuntu omu ku secretariat yali ampuliriza. Era my fellow Ugandans, I want us to say thank you to this lady. I want us to say thank you to Barbara Nekesa, the National Treasurer. President Museveni kano mukasale mu mukamuwe. The 71% is a contribution for so many people, but the most important people in this contribution are three. God, the president's work, Jewatekamu for the previous 5 years, Ngokola PDM, but the third person is Barbara Nekesa. The National Treasurer made sure that she spoke with everyone who came with any, as however small an idea was, at the Secretariat. When my idea, when my proposal was not accepted by the Secretary General, I went, because it had musicians and the media. I went to the office of the National Treasurer, Barbara Nekesa, and I explained myself word to word as you hear now. Word to word, one word to one word. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, while the campaigns had begun. Twasokera Luwero, they stopped me from Luwero with my media people. Never yimbi, never tuyimiriza. Kati enaku nnya ezasooka zokka abaana bange ze bamisinga bamawulire 4 days only. But those 4 days nakeranga ku machane ngena nentula ne Barbara Nekesa, and I explained to her the importance of the top social media people that I had put up. Barbara Nekesa ne munyonya paka Barbara oyangamba Bebe. Of course, Secretariat nze ndi National Treasurer ndi muwanika kino nekiri naye nina okufuna approvals okuva ewani SG oba kale Secretariat ngekkiriza. Naye teyakkiriza proposal, naye kaneeyiye nga Barbara Nekesa ndabe engeri gye nkusupportingamu n'obusente obutini taba namawulire ne mugamba nyamba at least abayimbi kambireke ffe tubeere waka naye bannamawulire bagende bakolere presidenti, because I knew the plan was going to fall down again. Barbara Nekesa nabeera nga mpaayo obusente butono nga buliwo kulya nga bannamawulire bange nga balina okweyiya engata gye begatta okugenda okusula nenjiya walala wenzija amafuta. But I knew that give Bebe Cool 2 weeks in an idea like that, everything will turn around. So Barbara Nekesa kept on supporting me, supporting the media people. Nganze siriyo, I could have gone to sing because no one was stopping me to sing. Actually, Secretary General yangamba, you Bebe Cool, you can come. No. Nze specifically banganda, because I was told that the artists from the north say I refused them to sing in Buganda here, so I should not go there. Then I'm okay. So the good thing with campaigns is every region has a person who leads it. So Barbara nali mukoyeseza buli lunaku nga mga Barbara yogera n'omusajja mutaba yimbi bagende bakolere president. Abayimbi bano bamaze emyaka 5 basupporting NRM ense bavuma abana bano mubaleke bagende bakole akasente. Raleza Buganda ntononye bintu bya regional bifu, but regional artists bakole neba nabayimbi bo bakole whole country kubanga bo amanya agagwa manene, amanya abantu ge baachawa manene, bali yes basobola okukola mu bulijjo bakolera tewali abaganye kola naye amanya gabaragadi manene. Aina kola rale bisatu okufuna muko ku kasente akakompensate nga losi ye yabafani. That was my argument. Toyinza kuddira upcoming n'omuteka kuragadi ku kamiliyoni ku buchayi bwe bayiseemu wano olw'okusupportinga NRM noli okubagamba nti bo bajje bayimbe wano. No, you can't do that. On top of that, you seeing other artists performing the whole place. Abaka jamu NRM naye bakaliba batudde awaka bo akakokola kanywedde baganda bange bampita Bebe kulu olina okunkuba nno n'onzikiriza ddala kubanga nze neemulula nali I couldn't have just so about Barbara Nekesa I must tell the president the main reason lwaki campaign eno yali very successful omukyalo oyo ya making sure nti esente zirina okugenda mu bintu bye zalina okugenda ne zituuka ku muntu wa wansi. The day I was in a meeting, I used to enter by force nenyingira office ye kwa nali mbikoye. You know, secretariat eyo oyinza okuyimira mu corridors ezo nobeera ng'emmese. But when I'm working for President Museveni, I undress the stardom status. So I used to stand in the corridors. Paka when natuka nenkuwa no, nengamba kankomewe nkofira ya artist. Nenyingira by force. So nengira ko meeting yemu. Nempuliranga they're activating the 30 or 60 people per village. Nensanyuka nnyo. Naye ngenda bawulira lwaki Museveni yakubye 71%. It's because structures za NRMs yali Museveni yali yazimba yali yazivaako. Ng'omuntu omutuufu anoonya akalulu wa wansi nga baamuvaako. Era bwe nawulira nga Barbara alwana okuza structures ezo n'okukozesa abantu abo, I became so proud and happy, and I knew that we were going to get the 70 to 80%. Ate nga nange nali nkutte flag esinga obukulu eya media. So Barbara natutwaliriza mpola kakati Barbara yangamba nti Barbara yali in charge side ya east where she's from the east. Of course we twava mu north twadda mu east. Kati fabayimbi we did not perform in the north. So performances za normalizing mu east. But normalizing mu east, that's when I'll 4 days before okugenda mu east nali planninga bulungi nti 4 days ezo nze ne mukwano gwange owa unstoppable programu yaffe twagiteeka in such a way nti twali tulauncinga at that time nga twagala tutandike unstoppable tugende tusinkane mu east ng'etandika. Kati nga nkimanyi bulungi nti ngenda kukosa unstoppable okukomyawo abayimbi murali. Because tewali muntu yenna yali asobola kunstoppinga because it wasn't a program for the secretariat. It was individually owned by a friend of mine and championed by me. And the budget, the money was there in my hands like this. So no one was going to stop me. Because I knew how they stopped me last time. They stopped me because they had the money in their hands. So I devised a way to get money and put it in my hands. And I knew that I will achieve the president's attention in less than a week with that program. So I only needed funds for 1 week. We took off Unstoppable at about 10 in the morning from Lugogo to Kira Road, to Kamocha, to Mulago, to Wandegea, and of course straight Kampala Road, Jinja Road, all the way paka Mukono, paka Jinja, Twasula Jinja on that day. But the media platforms zona in 1 day zafuka Unstoppable. So ne campaigns are president ne tuzi covering. And that was intention. But the next morning there was a phone call from the president's train. Era we twave Jinja twagenda straight Soroti. The third day I was in a meeting with that friend of mine, ne president. And that is the day the president got to know that his boys and girls are not on the trail. Tebayimba tebaliyo ba generals be. tebaliyo nambuuza nemuga muzeeyi kiki kyogezaako okukola. Are you trying to confirm to the people the rumors that NRM uses people and dumps them? These are my words and I'm saying them open. Nemugamba muzeeyi, those are the words. Nti wansudde nofuna omwana omuto omulala fe otusudde. Muzeeyi nangamba Moses, what are you talking about? Nemugamba muzeeyi, we are not on your campaigns. That's why I had to use this friend of mine to pull your attention. Nangamba chichi. Nemubulira ebintu na stopping alamuko nangamba okay. You come back tomorrow. So the next day I went back for the same meeting. You remember the first day there was a picture. The second day there was a picture. Kati in the first day nemugamba naye ngenda kujja ne bagenero babiri. That day ngenda ne kusasira ne Jose Chameleon. Now that was a day Bonna ntadeko alien skin nga musasude 40 million. Naye nga nze mutwe nali nkimanyi because alien yali tanalaba ku president. Nga nze mmanyi nti olufuna attention ya president tugendayo na noyo mwana naye afuneyo kubanga alien yakola nnyo for the NRM. I remember a kololo alien skin yayogera clearly and openly nti kati nze ndi officially wa NRM. Naye nga already yali amaze okucontributing a very much mu downfall ya abana okuva mu ghetto okuda kusaidia NRM. He had done a good job. So nga njagala agendeyo ate nga nze mmanyi ddirwe basasula. Naye ye ne banne ne balaba nti tekijja bakolera balina reasons zaabwe nenziteke ebbali. That's why mwalabangako unstoppable situsenze. Actually gravity yali tagenda kwa unstoppable kwa gravity. Gwe nali nsimbudde agende mu rallies kuba that week rallies zali zigenda kutandika. Gravity nemugamba gravity komawo ne Cathy kusasira mujje tumire ku pick up fe tugabe enkofiira ne helmets. That's how we went. Kati on that night the first meeting mzee when ali munyonyola ekintu ekyo he told me Bebe, okay, I'm tired, you come back tomorrow. Nemugamba I'm coming with Cathy, I'm coming with Chameleon. So we went that day waliwo omuntu omukulu nangamba nti tugatireko nono omuvubuka munamasaka abadde anoonya muzeeyi. So ne munamasaka ne tumuteekako. So we went in 4 artists. Kati that's the day when I explained to the president exactly what the picture looks like. Namugamba muzeeyi abantu balina picture ne erozesa mbu NRM is a user. But remember Museveni adiringa n'ebintu bingi ate biri ku high level tayinza kubeera ku buno obwaffe obutono ffe tulina obwesolvingira nakyavambuuza Chameleon namugamba muzeeyi bwe kiri muzeeyi ffe mazima ne tulabika Cathy namugamba Chameleon sooka osirike muzeeyi leka Bebe akunnyonnyole Moses ne munyole mugamba muzeeyi narrative etambula eri nti twakubiddwa ekikono naddala nze nambuuza ekikono kitegeeza ki. It means sidelining, that you have used us, you have dumped up the Museveni yanyiganze sirabangako kintu. Era mwengena bagamba ekintu kimu. Abalaba Chameleon nga asitudde ekisawo ky'essente. Mwe temumanyi kye mwali mulaba ssente. Ekyo kyali kyejo. Kubanga ebigambo Chameleon muzeeyi byayogera nena bibaddiramu. Muzeeyi yagamba, how can my generals be mistreated like that? That was the question. Teyaddamu kirala yayita simu nangamba ekintu eki nga bawulira ngamba okay, what do you want me to do now? Nemugamba muzeeyi manyi budget natekayo budget tezayitayo mu secretariat naye kyembadde njagala mbadde njagala kuideeta bayimbi bo bonna bakomewo bajje bakusupporting abaana bano wanooka we bakola capital okay bakole ku busente ate ne industry erabike ng'esupportinga NRM. Nangamba done, what do you need? Nemuwaka budget. Nemugamba give me a facilitation that I can facilitate, like I use to facilitate the artists and the media. Nakuba essimu zali 6 nagamba controller Bebajja ne Kamiri ne Cathy. So that's why you saw ebintu byonna byakyuka omundi gumu that day. Era bayimbi bonna nze be nakozesa nabayita ku Sky Hotel bonna. That's why n'abantu nga Butcherman samuyita kubanga bukimanyi talina mugaso ku gundi ku stage ku rally talina naye ate there was a time where ina contribution ye era desperese ye evaawo nti yaluzinga nnyo bafaani kati bw'omuleka ebbali ng'otutte just abalina hiiti obeera hypocrite obeera as bad as bano be nali nwanyisa. So that's why buli muntu kabe fina mugerwa era abantu batula ne bagamba fina akola ki ku stage ne fina ya sacrifice nga kakari yake ako nga bwe kaali nayingira obukyayi mu Buganda nga bwe mumanyi obukyayi bwe bwali wano kakati ate mutandise okufunayo kate mubeerabira. That is not Bebe cool. Era president bwe yawulira ebigambo ebyo actually bwe yava ku simu awo nangamba n'okungamba nti now come back after tomorrow but one. Eyo yali meeting ya kusatu same week jukira bala bamunoonyeza myaka na myaka same week. Now I'm showing you that ebintu ebisinga bi happeninga nenga president taswa kumanya kakati naffe ngaffe bebi happeninga ku oyina okulwana ennyo okulaba nti olabisa ebintu ebyo mu ngeri emu oba endala so that he gets to know. Yes, the president, Uganda has the best intelligence, but ne intelligence oluusi baji blindinga mu nsonga z'obukokola kati gwena kwerwanako ng'omuntu kubanga if I had not fought this time to make sure that the media n'abayimbi bakola now that Afande Damlira had handled the ghetto, okay, era nalibuddawo ne netulako abenalemu bayusers kituufu namwe abawagizi opposition malige twakugamba nenga ate amazima matuufu ne president yali tamanyi kigenda maaso. So president bwe yagamba yabuza n'agamba naye kamiliyoni actually mu conversation yaffe that day nga tuli bana that meeting eyokubiri yabuuza but you kamiliyoni wawona unasobola nga amubuuza nga muzadde bangamba oli muzei kamiliyoni yebaza muzei webale nnyo okunsasula eddwaliro natereera kino kiri naye muzei kino naye Bebe kabyogere with respect ate bonna nga barifaringa Bebe with respect maso ga muzei. Of course muzei gives me the respect. He knows my age and my experience and he knows I'm the one who has been fighting to bring all these people no matter who to him in a good way. This is not about anything, no, but we all should try and see this vision together. Kakati muzei bwavamu ekigambo ekyo ekigamba nti how can my generals be disrespected? Let me tell you what happened that day. Ndaba Joseph nastuka mwawo asoka muzei ana ina fence na fesanyu na ina fence Chameleon for the first time asumuluka masoka president nafuka ize simu kwogera nekati nafuka ize nafuka nga baby yamaliza president agamba nti no one should ever try to fail you my generals. I felt proud. This message goes to the president. Those words were good enough to show me that you have appreciated the sacrifice, because in sacrifice I'm making 50 years soon. All I know is NRM. Fight yange obulamu bwabadde mu kulwanira NRM tolina kirala kyongamba ate sirwana bulwanyi mbu ne positioning financially. No, it's because I believed in a vision that the president preached, and I'm seeing things happening. Naye nga mbadde ku target age emu naye olunaku olwo nalaba kamiliyoni nga nassa nnyo nagira nemanya nti omulenzi kati naye afunye final confidence. Kubanga oluusi tukola nga tomalina kumanya nti omuntu gwokolera asiima. Era President Museveni alabye nnyo musajja mulungi, musajja asiima nnyo, naye kizibu abantu okumanya nti asiima. Ate tayinza gamba buli muntu nti weebale nnyo nkwagala nnyo, no. Naye it was very important because ne Joseph yali yeetaga confidence eyo nganze gye nnina, because me I had the confidence before. I know him, we speak one-on-one all the time. He's like my father, era yo tata wange wokubiri. Don't be surprised bwe mwalaba nga akyala mu ddwaliro nga ndwadde. Nze confidence njina naye I was proud and happy to see nga akyogera mu maaso ga Catherine Kusaasira. Of course Catherine ye amutwalira ddala nga muwala we ekyejo amukola ekyejo ekizibu. Catherine Kusaasira mzee amukola ekyejo. Ate kimukoze ekyejo. One time twali mu campaign ya Tubonge naawe. Mama najja ne mzee. Twali mu West eyo nga tunatera okuva mu West tutandike Buganda. Kati omanyi campaigns zino zi happening in a way. There's one person who does not stop once the campaigns begin, from beginning to the end. That is the president. The rest of the people bachuka. Mpozi ne secretary general ayinza okuwummulamuko. Naye aba omuntu omu atawummula buli lunaku yabeera nanyini program ye president. Mama Janet ng'agira n'awummulamu, abasirikale babakyusa, convoy emmotoka zikyuka, bannamawulire bakyukakyukamu, oluusi oli alwaddemu n'awummula, bunne najja da abayimbi oluusi akooye n'atajja, lwafunye accident n'atajja. Naye president yekka bw'ati yetawummula okuva campaign